Domingues. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
So, it's been a crazy year, a crazy election year.
hmm
And how was your race? Were you glad it was all over, or were you hoping for a different outcome?
Well, our my district is very heavily Democrat,
Yeah.
so in order to really win, it's going to take a lot more work. But I enjoyed the whole year running. The people I've met, the things I've learned, it's just been remarkable. And yeah, I did not win my race. I'm fine with it, but it's not going to stop me. I'm still moving forward, and because everything's still the same here in California. And
hmm
as you know, Newsom is going to fight Trump on him pushing anything through. And being a Republican, I am really pro Trump and like his policies
hmm
because the California is very notorious for having doing their own thing and going off and doing different things, which is what brought my attention to things I didn't like what California is doing. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so after doing a lot of research and studying, I really see what this California Democrat agenda is. And it probably is the Democrat agenda, period. And it's not good. I'm sorry.
hmm
It's not American. I don't think it's constitutional.
Yeah.
hmm
What I actually did not anticipate was that California was going to vote more red this time
hmm
around. And I think there's many factors why that happened. The most or the biggest factor was Kamala. Was just not a good candidate. And I think Democrats have the opportunity to choose a right candidate for the party. But because of super delegates, it does not allow someone that the people actually want to represent the party. And I think that's why Trump's really popular because he did not face that. Or although he did face some like backlash the first time that he ran, and then he won, and this time around with his picks, it's because he's learned from the first time around. And I say this: when he lost in 2020, it was actually a good thing because it showed us how far the Democrats would go to control, to maintain control.
hmm
And I really think that Trump has changed as a person. And I think this time around is going to be better than it was in 2016. Now, I voted against Trump. I was really against Trump in 2016. In 2020, I just wanted him to lose, and I voted for Biden. But my my opinion on him changed from being against him to just wanting Biden to be in the presidency. To now, I voted for Trump, and I'm a Democrat, and I never would have imagined that I would have voted for a Republican. And back when I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary, I never saw myself. I even told myself I'm never going to vote for a Republican. They just have everything wrong. But now 2016 Trump versus 2024 Trump, it's a completely different person. He's surrounding himself with people that are not insiders in the party and in politics, and I think that's pissing a lot of people off.
Yeah. No, you're very right. And I'm glad to hear you weren't the only Democrat that probably voted Republican this round.
hmm
We actually had people coming into our Republican office changing their affiliation,
hmm
wanting to become Republican voters.
hmm
Um, I I found myself there was a lot more Republicans coming out. There
Hmm.
were Democrats that were going to change to vote Republican,
Yeah.
and the independents came over to the Republican side because of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Right.
And I met them both here in North County and in Santa Barbara in our South County,
Hmm.
and they were supporting us and we're supporting them. We may not agree 100% on everything, but there's a
Yeah.
main factor we agree on, and we support Robert F. Kennedy. And we're glad, so glad he joined Trump's team.
I think that was the main reason that I voted for Trump. I was excited for RFK
Mhm.
Jr. to join Trump. I'm excited for Elon Musk to join Trump. And if you look at it,
Mhm.
he's surrounded by people that lean left.
Mhm.
RFK, he's a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. She ran against Kamala.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's Democrat. Vivek voted for Obama. Trump was a Democrat himself.
Hmm. That's true.
So it's not that the Republican Party nowadays is not the Republican Party that it was. And you could say the same thing about Democrats.
Yes.
Democrats have moved too far left that they left
Mhm.
their base behind. I live in Vegas now. So Nevada was one of those states that was very important. Trump was coming here like every other week.
Mhm.
um, and this is the first time Nevada's been red since 2004.
Mhm.
So our state was very important in the election, and I was actually pretty. I felt the same way that I felt voting for Trump was the same way that I felt when I voted for Bernie because I see that they're going to cause radical change.
Mhm.
My ideas have not changed. I'm excited for what RFK is going to do with the health department, taking out harmful ingredients from food. What he's going to do with vaccines. What he's going to do with medicine. And the thing that people are saying is that they should get a doctor in the position, but although Kennedy is not a doctor himself. He's been an environmental lawyer.
Mhm.
But what we know is that most of the doctors have contributed to the increase in the opioid crisis. We know that doctors, even though they don't realize it, if you go into the hospital to treat an illness, they will just give you some pill and
Mhm.
say take this to get better,
Mhm.
but they don't treat it. I guess they treat it, but they don't cure the actual illness. That's what we know. Tulsi Gabbard, she's going to take control over the intelligence department. The Elon Musk and Vivek, they're going to be in charge of stop just wasteful spending.
Mhm.
It's like who can actually be against that? I know that
Mhm.
Kamala would not have done much to actually cause radical change in the government, and that's what we need because what we know, Kamala, she's her she raised $1 billion and still managed to get $20 million in debt.
Exactly.
How can we trust her with the economy?
Yes.
But this election year, it's been crazy, and saying that I support Trump is not the same way, or it's not viewed as the same as it once was. Were you seen as a bad person for voting for Trump? And I think all that was caused by the media, by
Yeah.
the lies.
They were trying to make him a bad person. I voted for him all three times. I'm
Yeah.
a Republican, but I
Mhm.
did research. When I vote for somebody, I don't expect that person to be perfect and just vote every
Mhm.
way I want. No, that's to me that's not common sense.
Yeah.
But I studied him and looked at videos, and they weren't. Some of them weren't. good videos. They were trying to portray him bad. But what
Yeah.
I came out of that was that he was a businessman that got things done,
Mm-hmm.
very successful. And that's what I wanted. I thought was going to be very good for America. We need to be
Yeah.
successful, a successful country, because
Mm-hmm.
we're such a wonderful country. And I think we have the right idea that our forefathers gave us.
Yeah.
It's our country, we the people. And that has never been done because people want to control people.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have fiefdoms and all kinds of, control.
Right.
And a lot of people, I believe, are very comfortable being controlled.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Our traditional American patriots,
Mm-hmm.
we don't like to be controlled. We really want to have a stand. I personally am a kind of person that I like to control what I do and how I act, and I feel responsible and accountable for myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
try to be the best a person I can, open minded, look at change.
Mm-hmm.
And those have been the things my whole life I've always tried to strive. I'm
Yeah.
not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is. And hey, you want, do you want me really to list all the things I've done wrong in my life? I mean, I know what they are, but
Yeah.
I tried not to repeat them. I've
Yeah.
learned from them. And that's what it is. It's a learning tool. But I knew Trump was going to be
Mm-hmm.
good, had do good policies, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
And America was founded on a Judeo-Christian
Yeah.
format, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I've found, because I have been raised a Christian and I raised my children Christian, I found that it helps. I studied in my one of my courses in college, religions of the world,
Yeah.
and they all have a common denominator where
Mm-hmm.
they're like a glue to civilization, and I
Yeah.
think that's important.
No, right. So,
Hmm.
I consider myself agnostic, so I'm not religious by any means. But
Okay.
I also took religious studies
Right.
in college, and from what I've learned is, although the Ten Commandments is not something that I routinely practice because I'm not religious,
Hmm.
I do believe that is a structure for a successful society.
Hmm.
Even though some may disagree or not, that's what I believe.
Hmm.
After all, I am a Democrat, so there are
Hmm.
certain things that I don't agree with Trump on because he is a Republican. He used to be a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. He's a politician. So there's of course there's things that I don't agree with him on.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I don't agree with Republicans on because I am a Democrat and those are where my principles lie. Out of Georgia, I want to say the governor of Georgia. I don't want to mess this up, but the governor of Georgia wanted to put up the Ten Commandments in schools, and that's something that I
Mm.
disagree on because there's a
Yeah.
separation of church and state. And I think that morality is very subjective. And we're seeing that with Democrats. They think they're on this
Okay.
high moral pillar.
Hmm.
And we're all just looking at them like, what are you doing? Like, that's not the way to go. And look how like where it's gotten us that you can't even say certain things because it's being considered hate speech. So morality is very subjective. So we should probably not put morals in schools. I think that should be left to the parents. Children should be left
Right.
in school to learn about math and English or whatever.
I agree.
So at the end, I believe that certain things the Democrats believe, but it's the establishment that has changed radically, but not in a good way.
Right.
So of course, there's things that I don't agree with Republicans on,
Hmm.
but his administration, the people that he's surrounding himself with, that's what made me excited to vote for him. I didn't vote solely for Trump, which many people may think I did. I voted for the
Yeah.
people that are going to be in his administration. If Trump, if RFK didn't drop out of the race and endorse Trump, I probably would have voted for RFK, honestly. But
Right. Right.
I think the change that from RFK dropping out and joining Trump, I think that changed a lot of people's minds.
Hmm.
I think Trump going on the Joe Rogan podcast changed media forever. As soon as
Hmm.
that was released, it changed media forever because what we once believed that podcasts and the non-legacy media was going to rise and be more important. I think we've already exceeded that. I think legacy media is not going to affect people's opinions as much as new media is going to do. But I
Hmm.
think we're really living through a historical moment that is going to be in history books.
Hmm.
Not only, with what's happened with Trump after being impeached, being a convicted felon,
Yeah.
losing losing his reelection. He came back. He's the
Hmm.
second president ever to do that.
Right. Right.
This is this is going to be looked back on, and it's going to be in the history books. It's going to be studied
Hmm.
because we are really living in a transformation in our country.
Yes.
Yeah.
I voted for Trump in 2016 also because I knew he would bring in certain people, which he
Hmm.
did do. He brought in certain
Oh
people
yeah.
that were very good in what they did on the job. Because see, that's important. President Trump isn't ruling our country. He is putting people in place with common sense, with knowledge to help balance out what we need to do to be a great country. And we've got to constantly work on that because even when you have family, see, my platform was family. I have a large family. My husband has a large family, extended families, and
Yeah.
we all were raised and grew up with certain basic values.
Yeah.
And we passed that on, and our children have passed it on,
Hmm.
and now our grandchildren will. But we're hoping we keep these basic values. And of
Hmm.
course, I'm a Catholic Christian, so
Hmm.
I believe in I was raised on the Ten Commandments. And when you just look at those Ten Commandments and you think about living your life to love one like you love yourself and love
Yeah.
God, it's not very hard to do.
Right.
And it's not hard to try to follow those 10 commandments. Yeah, we all break them, but we try not to. That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And it's not that hard to live that way. It's very simple. When you start thinking about other things or this or that, things can get very chaotic very fast. And so that's why I really like to have an organized, like I said, the glue
Yeah.
to keep us somewhat, you know, common sense. I grew up with the hippies. I grew
Hmm.
up and honestly, and when I was in high school and I knew about hippies, I was more in junior high when the Beatles came out in the 60s, and I had older sisters that were just crazy.
Yeah.
And I liked the Beatles, but I wasn't that kind of person to be crazy about them. But also I saw hippies. I knew hippies, but I didn't like what they were doing. My husband and I would go to a party, and of course, they'd be smoking marijuana and doing whatever, and we'd just leave because I couldn't really stand the smell.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think, who wants to be high and having sex and not being responsible? I just felt like we wanted to be responsible, and we have. My husband and I've continued to and raised our children responsibly, and I have successful children. Um, Not that I'm saying our families are all perfect. We all counter things, but we deal with them. We deal with them as a family and keep moving
Yeah.
forward. So that's what I think it's about. And we all come up. We had the peak kids that were all goth. And I had family members, the children's go goth because they felt they were having issues, but we still worked with help them to know that they're okay. They're loved. That's all people want.
Yeah.
That's what we all want. And anyway, so I saw that. And
Hmm.
all this other stuff that's coming down right now, I look at it the same thing. It's
Hmm.
like the hippies, you know, it's a subgroup.
Hmm.
They're trying to make it real large.
Hmm.
It would be like the hippies trying to make everybody in school to become hippies,
No,
trying to push them all to be hippies. And it's like, no, I don't want to be hippie. Well,
that's a
now
great
you're the
point.
one that's what it's like. And it's like, stop it. It's
Yeah.
not that. Let people be their individual people.
I think what matters is personal freedom, and some people miss the mark on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing that I believe, and I've been saying this for a while now, is that people are not voting how they used to. People are interested in their bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
People are worried if they're going to be able to pay their bills, if they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
able to put gas in the car. They don't,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, I really don't think that people are really invested in someone's identity. It could have been true probably like 30 years ago.
There are people that are,
Yeah.
because that's just, I think, their makeup. But you're right.
Yeah.
Again, it's what somebody can do. You
Hmm.
know, um, that's we're a have a free country,
Hmm.
but freedom doesn't mean you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean that. And liberty and justice. I mean, laws are created
Hmm.
to be justice, to create justice.
Yeah.
And if a law is created and it counters a certain portion of people, then it's not justice. It's,
Hmm.
like when you say if someone's going to kill somebody, they go to jail.
Yeah.
Boom. Now, that's justice for everybody because nobody wants to get killed.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you had a population that said, oh, no, killing's fine, they can kill me, I
Hmm.
don't like it, well, then that law would not be justice.
Hmm.
It's not a good law. And I've come to realize that, and I've kind of looked at things like that, because so many people now want to live their life the way they want, which, as long as you're abiding by laws and your
Hmm.
character is good. Martin Luther King, I loved what he did.
Hmm.
He great man. Um, I don't have a problem at
Yeah.
all. And we need to teach our children and people that we can't hate.
Hmm.
No, we should not hate. And but there are certain people that I would have a problem with.
Yeah.
Someone who's a serial killer, I
Yeah.
would have a problem with that.
No, yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So when somebody crosses a line, now I have a
Hmm.
problem, and we need to back you up behind that line again.
Hmm.
Because if we don't live within boundaries, your
Yeah.
children, you give them boundaries. Why? Because it keeps things from going chaotic.
Hmm.
I taught my children, I had one son that would run out in the street and think it was funny.
Yeah.
But I had to teach him no and keep him from, understand. And then when he learned how to look, I was still watching to make sure he was doing it right.
Hmm.
That's a parent's role. So
Yeah.
when your child is wanting to do something that's way maybe not good because it's an adult choice or they're really exposed to adult things when they're a
Hmm.
child, then you have to say, no, no,
Hmm.
I'm not going to let you run out in the street. Well, I'm not going to let you do something that's going to harm you.
Yeah.
It's just basic common sense.
No.
But they've got a hold of things, and it's our media, I know,
Yeah.
that can really change people's thoughts. Because I know people that have been raised away, but now they think different, which,
Hmm.
and I love talking with them and having discussions. Charlie Kirk is someone that I just adore, and I
Hmm.
support his TPUSA. And yeah, if we don't sit and use common sense and
Hmm.
responsibility, and those are my core values of morality and accountability. Those are my core values. I raised my children like that. Doesn't mean we're all perfect and saints. No. No.
Hmm.
We're just trying to be good people.
And
And there's like you, I find your
yeah.
character very well, very good. I love talking with you.
Hmm.
Okay. That's what it's about.
Hmm.
Everybody doesn't have to be, you know, praising God and this. We just have to have our boundaries and understand that
Hmm.
we're all human beings on this planet and we have to live together.
Yeah, and I think that we are coming to realize that
Hmm.
Democrats and Republicans are not. Even though I've always known that we're not bad people. Either or, we just
My mother
want.
was a Democrat for life. I have family that's Democrats, and some of them we talk a little bit then, but these last 2 years it's been harder to talk.
Yeah,
So we're just very careful and we're very cordial about it,
yeah,
and that's fine. I don't want to upset anybody if I have a thought or they have a thought. Um, but I love to discuss,
no,
even though
yeah,
we may not agree.
and I think
And I
that's
ran into
actually,
people. I ran into a few people and we were
yeah,
able to discuss and I loved it and they liked it too and we were happy that we were able to discuss things
yeah, like
to
human
agree to
beings.
disagree. Mhm.
And I think that that's changing because that's how it used to be, and then we became divided. But I think we're coming back around and understanding that even though we want different things, we still want the best for
Yeah.
the country. We
Yeah.
just want different ways to get there. But now we're realizing that we're not enemies. I think they're
Mhm.
making us seem as enemies, and they're trying to divide us when we could put all that aside and then discuss, like, okay, this is what my idea is for the country. Like, what is your idea? Like, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Like, let's discuss this. Maybe we could come into a common ground.
You will end up getting the best results when you're able to do things like that.
Yeah. And
Because it's not one person idea that goes. I've
mhm.
never been that way and I've worked with teams constantly and you have to draw out and analyze who had the best idea about this and that. And okay, that's where we need to go, and you're successful.
Definitely.
Hmm.
And going back to identity politics, of course there's some
Yeah.
people that are going to vote whether someone's a certain color or not. But what we're looking at here is what's enough to push the needle. And I think the majority of the country are not that invested into someone's identity.
No,
And with Obama being the first black president, another thing that I say is that it was his charisma that got him elected. He just happened to be black. That I
hmm,
mean, that's just a fact.
yeah,
Kamala did not lose because she was the first woman of color that could have
mm-mm,
been president.
not at all.
She just happened to be a
Yeah,
woman of color.
yeah.
They just happen to be. That's not the reason that someone loses or wins, or like, are their policies any good? And we
That
just,
causes, see, it causes divide. And
yeah,
see, and this is what they're actually doing. I've been seeing this last year how it's starting. You have to think a certain way or else. And it's like, no, I can think all ways, different ways, and evaluate and come to my own conclusion. But the problem is when you start trying to push an idea, push something that then that cause division. It
yeah,
will cause division. And they're doing that. And it's like, no, no, no. We need to stop all that. And it is causing division because I've seen it. And it's not good. So hopefully we can all come together and realize it's not about what religion, what color, what ethnicity. No, we're Americans. We're human Americans.
yeah. No,
That's what it's about. Everything else is blurred and gone.
yeah. At least most of the country, that's how it feels. We're Americans. We're one team.
Hmm.
We're not that
That's what
invested
the
into.
movement did. Yes.
Yeah, we're not that invested into someone's identity, but I don't think Democrats have really caught up to that, and that's why they're trying to get the Latino vote, the Black vote, and they're just so invested
Right.
into getting the votes out of certain groups, but they don't really work on their policies. There's so many factors why Kamala lost. You know, she failed to do any interviews. She failed to go on any podcasts. We never really got to know her. Her excessive spending, her celebrity endorsements that she paid for, she did not have any policy on anything. She just,
No. Well, she flip flopped. To me, when someone's strong about something, then all of a sudden they're not strong.
yeah,
Where are they? Are they lying?
yeah,
Where really do they stand? No. I still stand on all the things I've stood on since day one a year ago. I have not changed.
yeah,
And I hope my stances, though, they're not like firm, strong. They're this is what I think or believe, but yet I'm willing to listen, and I will change somewhat because if it needs to,
Hmm.
because if I'm not seeing something right, then I need to understand
Right.
because I'm willing to. I'm very open-minded. I don't want people to vote for me because I'm a woman
Uh-huh.
or I have Hispanic background or even I've got Indigenous American background,
Hmm.
even though I am also Portuguese. I don't want to win based on that. I want to
Hmm.
win because I'm intelligent.
Hmm.
I have good character. I really want to do the right thing for our citizens.
Hmm.
I don't want to go up there and make money. I mean, I do things free now. I volunteer for everything. It's not about money.
Yeah.
It's about people. It's about people's lives. And I do care about other people other than my family
Yeah.
because if you don't care, and I've had this conversation, if you don't care about all the other children and people
Hmm.
and whoever nationality or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. Just all the people that are here in my district. If I don't care and understand their needs and how they can help themselves, right? Give
Hmm.
them tools. I'm really for people to have tools. Now, if somebody's very disabled and just can't, then yeah,
Hmm.
there's a difference between helping somebody and enabling them, and there's a fine line. And
Hmm.
I've really thought about it and seen where we enable and where we help, and we need to help.
Hmm.
So I'm all for helping, but because we got to worry about everybody else to keep them as comfortable, and they don't have to be millionaires, but I didn't. I grew up in a big family which
Hmm.
didn't have a lot of money, but I was happy
Yeah.
because we had love and I had used I a neighbor across the street gave me their Barbie. I
Yeah.
was so happy. You know, I had to use bikes.
Hmm.
That we never bought a brand new bike, but
Yeah.
hey, I had a bike. I could ride it. So I worry about everybody else in a sense because if you don't, it's going to come back to bite you and affect you. This
Hmm.
is why I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm advocating for things because when something wrong is going on, it
Hmm.
needs to be stopped from everybody because if you don't, even though you stop it for yourself and your own family and say,
Yeah.
no, this is how we're going to live, if you don't help these other people to understand, they're going to create crimes, they're going to become deviant, and they're going to
Hmm.
affect your family. And I had to explain that to somebody who
Hmm.
said they don't care about anybody else. They've raised their family good, and that's all that counts. And then I said, no, 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 no. We have to look out beyond.
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's what happened with Kamala. I think the people around her failed her. I think the people around her enabled her to believe that the presidency belonged to her, that she deserved it without doing any actual
Mhm.
real work. And that's
Right.
why she was just so lost of words. If you look at how DC voted, 6% of the vote went to Trump.
Hmm.
So I think the people surrounding Kamala made her think that she was going to win without actually having any real proposals.
Right.
And to add to that, she did not have anything that she really believed in. And that's why she flipped flopped. People could change their mind. She could say that, well, I thought I was right about this, but you know what? You guys are actually right. So this is my new proposal. She did not do that.
I did. She didn't. She just said, "Oh no, I don't want to do that," or
Yeah.
I'll do that." No, it wasn't sincere.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. You're so right.
She was testing the waters, like, let's see what the crowd wants. And that's what I'm
Hmm.
going
No,
to
no,
advocate for.
no.
You
Mm-mm.
know? So
Yeah.
there's so many factors that why she lost, but I don't think Democrats will learn from this, and I think they will continue doing the same mistake. They could have won. It's not a Democrat versus Republican thing. It's like candidate versus candidate, and Trump just happened to be the better candidate.
Yeah.
So his
But
ideas.
where was Kamala from?
She was from California, and
That's what we live with here.
Hmm.
That is what we're living with.
Hmm.
It's like as if she wanted to be our president.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, the day after the election, because I stayed up
Hmm.
till we knew for sure, at least for presidency.
Yeah.
And the next morning, my husband's sitting on the couch. He's like, I don't know what it is, but I just feel relief. I feel safer. I feel better.
Yeah.
It was that palatable that we got Trump in because we've been living the last 4 years. I mean,
Hmm.
open your eyes, people. Look at California. Our gas prices right on the corner are
Hmm.
$5, 4.99, $5 a gallon. And my son, I have a son who actually lives in Florida.
Hmm.
Last week, he texted me. I'm going to read it so I don't miss it, so I
Hmm.
don't misrepresent it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last week. Okay. Yeah. Last week he says, he texts my husband and I, gas is $2.81 today in Florida. Haven't seen that in 5 years.
Wow. Yeah.
I have to put premium in my car. I don't have electric car, but I have to put premium, and it's five something a gallon.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember when I flew to Florida. I mean, although this was during COVID, when I flew to Orlando,
Yeah.
but going from California and then landing in Orlando and seeing the difference in gas prices, I'm like, is that even possible?
Yeah. My son moved there right before the pandemic. So he's outside, no mask, having
Hmm.
breakfast at a restaurant
Hmm.
and telling me, Mom, our governor said, use your common sense. You're not
Hmm.
feeling a little well, you don't feel well, stay home.
Yeah.
You know, distance yourself. Don't be, if you're coughing, cover your mouth. I mean,
Hmm.
use your common sense. We have to do our due diligence. And that's what he told his people.
Yeah.
Our governor, you know what he
Hmm.
told us?
What was it?
He shut everything down. Everything. We couldn't even go to the beautician anymore. Small businesses collapsed because they couldn't accommodate outside. It was a nightmare here.
Hmm.
And you go to the grocery store and you have your lines. Everybody has to wear masks. Somebody's walking around with no mask, and somebody's yelling at them. You know, it's like what? Yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, I was actually living in Long Beach when it happened.
Oh, good. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
because I was going to Cal State Long Beach at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So at first we thought it was just gonna be like what 2 3 weeks, and then it
Yes.
extended to a month, and it just kept on going.
Mm-hmm.
And from one day to another, the freeway just became vacant. All these businesses shut down,
Yeah.
and at the
The
time,
school children. I knew kids that weren't even going to school
yeah,
from the grapevine, and it's like sad,
yeah,
just awful. My grandchildren, thank God, they just love studying and learning, and we babysat them a few days, and they had their little laptop, and one went up in the one room and the other one stayed down in the kitchen. Then all of a sudden he was gone. No, he was in the garage because it was PE. So he's out there with his iPad doing his PE.
wow.
Yeah, they thrived off of that learning. They were able to do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, like my sister, she graduated and it was a drive through
Oh, right.
graduation. It's just
We did one of those too.
yeah.
My
Um
sister died, and
um
we couldn't even have a funeral for her.
yeah. My aunt had died around I think June of 2020, and we couldn't
Yeah.
go in to the hospital room.
Nope.
Same with my grandpa. It's a lot of people suffered, and at the time I thought, this is what's the best for all of us.
At first, I did too. Yeah, at
Hmm.
first, okay. But then when it started going on,
Yeah.
and I was really trying to watch news, the minute the doctor from South Africa said the next strain isn't as potent,
Yeah.
when I heard her say that, I was done. It's like, okay, so we're just
Mhm.
going to get sick. We still have to do our due diligence because there will be people that still could die because they have issues that would complicate it if
Yeah.
they got the virus. But and that was only, 6 months into the virus.
Hmm.
It already, or within that year, it already mutated enough.
Yeah, like looking back at it now, it was all politically motivated.
Yes.
And I think that really turned the wheels of people, and that they're lying to us. Although I don't know if lying is the right word to describe it,
At,
but it's
at first, they weren't. Trump
yeah.
had it at the beginning.
Hmm.
I remember watching a news broadcast
Yeah.
vividly, and Trump said, "You can use ivermectin and blah,
Hmm.
blah, blah." He
Yeah.
said it.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden, oh, no, no, no. That turned me there too.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I think things would have been very different if Trump would have
Yeah.
won in 2020, because I think he would have stopped the vaccination. He would never made it mandatory. He wouldn't have had kids out of school that way. I think he would have done things a lot differently.
Yeah.
But at first, it was serious. No, and it was a serious thing at first because people were dying
Hmm.
and we took it seriously. But then after a while, when you started questioning and seeing
Hmm.
and hearing, and then it's like, okay, okay, no, there's manipulations. It
No,
should
yeah.
never been mandatory.
Yeah, because it was CNN, MSNBC. They were all saying this, but then you look at it like, so who funds these stations?
Well, that I think the COVID exposed a lot of this, and having, like you said, Trump didn't win, so we had 4 years of seeing how they were going to do business, and they weren't doing business
Like
very well.
we gave them a chance, and
Yes,
like
and I'm glad we did. I'm glad the last 4 years
yeah,
happened. I'm glad I survived it.
yeah,
I'm one of the ones that haven't gone in debt yet. I haven't. I'm on a fixed income and
yeah,
I'm surviving it. But my holiday dinners, oh my gosh, a couple years ago,
yeah,
I paid so, and then last year, I even paid more. I don't know what I'm going to pay this year, but because I
yeah.
do a turkey and a ham.
No, yeah, like they can't
Yeah.
forget that we gave them a chance and they just messed it up.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Yeah. Now we're giving Trump a chance. We'll see what
yeah.
he does.
I
And I'm watching.
yeah, like I really hope that Trump does a good job.
I think he is
Yeah,
because he's getting good people in there, and
yeah,
he's bringing in Democrats, like you
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Because he likes how they think and what their expertise is.
Mhm.
It
It,
makes sense, common sense.
it's so interesting watching the left wing media attack liberals.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, no, yeah. And the people I've ran into too, because my campaign manager, someone was saying, because I was having discussion with somebody, and then they were starting to yell at me, and I was just being very kind and kept
Hmm.
very moderate, and they're like, "Oh, I could not do that." And my campaign manager looked at him and said, "She'll talk to anybody," and she's right. I will
Hmm.
talk to anybody. We
Hmm.
have to talk.
We do.
We have to listen, and I will listen too.
Yeah.
That's the key. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening and talking and hearing everybody's
Yeah. But there's
their
some
own.
people that just don't think like that.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's what, you can only do so much. They have to be able to change themselves. They have to be able to open their eyes. I mean,
Yeah.
and when I start talking to them about some truth, some facts, because
Hmm.
I've been gathering facts. As my campaign, I wanted to run it on facts
Right.
and intelligent facts. I'm not, I didn't care who Greg Hart really was as
Hmm.
a person or what he did in his personal life or what. No, I don't care. That's that's not what I'm voting for. But I did care about the policies he said yes or no to,
Hmm.
and I didn't like his decisions. I thought his decisions, well, he went along with whatever this agenda is, and
Hmm.
that's what I was against, this agenda. And I wanted a lot of us to go up that didn't like this current agenda, so we could shift it back to
Yeah.
a point. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of bad decisions that have been made in California. And for our governor to say, well, he's going to fight against Trump and not let him do any of this stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, though.
Hmm.
You know, some people like a lot of that stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know what to say. I don't think it's right to bare your
Yeah.
breast in public and have sex in public and, burn down buildings. And
Hmm.
we can't be doing that. Sorry.
Hmm.
We can't still. I'm so glad. I'm so glad Prop 36 went through
Hmm.
because we said, no, we need to, it's not okay for people to steal. My son took caps with his cousin and
Yeah.
he got hauled back to the store and got in trouble for it. And he was little. He must have been maybe 8.
Hmm.
You think he stole ever since then? No.
Hmm.
I stole some apples with my brother. He told me to put the apples in my big pocket in my coat. I was in 2nd grade. Well, the store owner saw us do it, which of course I didn't know. So as we're walking out, he asked me what was in my pockets. And so I showed him, and then he told me I had to give them back, and that was wrong. And I was devastated,
Wow.
devastated. He taught me, oh, I'm not supposed to do that.
Hmm.
So if my brother told me or someone else told me to put in my pocket, I would tell them no from that point because it's wrong.
Hmm.
But I thought it was okay because I was hungry and he was hungry, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah. Like
That's stupid.
we can't enable bad behavior because people will act bad.
They will.
Yeah.
Again, helping and enabling.
Yeah. And what are your future plans for well, the campaign is over, but what are your plans for the future going forward?
Well, now I'm a delegate for the
Mm.
California Republican Party,
Oh, okay.
and I belong to the Santa Barbara County Republican, and
Hmm.
I also belong to the San Luis Obispo Republican because part of my area was part of San Luis Obispo.
Hmm.
So I'm very happy to be involved with both.
Hmm.
So I'm again going to be a very strong advocate for our Republican Party here in Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo, and so I'm going to be involved. Before I ran, and I think it was the reason why they asked me to run, was I had started a Moms for Liberty chapter for Santa Barbara County.
Mm.
Again, I studied what it was about because I saw them on TV, the co-owners, and I liked what they did. I studied it. I looked it up. I liked that they were going national. They seemed like they were very organized. I looked on their website and saw that there was a chapter in San Luis Obispo
Yeah.
because they're only 4 years old. And I started 2 years ago. Well, San Luis Obispo started 3 years ago. So I went to they let me go to their meeting and I liked everything. So I started a chapter here in Santa Barbara County. So I'm now focusing more so back, even though I still focused on it this whole year, but even more so now, I'll be focusing. So I see myself going up to Sacramento
Mm.
many times. I'm going to be going up there for different reasons.
Hmm.
And so I'm going to now be Sari Domingues, the advocate. That's what my sister called me. You're the advocate now. Because someone said I'm a politician because I ran, but she said, no, you're still not a politician. You're an advocate. So that's what my plans are.
Do you see
So I'm keeping
yourself running for Congress or state assembly, state senate, any other
I will
office?
run again, yes. It's what the Republican Party, they're
Mm.
the ones that I would do it if they wanted me to endorse me. And yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
see what's coming up in 2 years.
Well, we'll
Maybe I'll
see. Well, thank you for this conversation, and it was really fascinating to get your thoughts on on this election. Considering I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican, we have different
Mhm.
views, but at the end of the
That's
day,
right.
we're after the bottom line, and
Mhm.
this was an interesting conversation, definitely.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you. And anytime, if you want to hear about my Moms for Liberty, I'd be more than happy to sit with you
Yeah, yeah. We'll set something up
or
in the
keep in
future.
touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
keep in touch. See where I'm going later down the line.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in knowing where you go and the
Mhm.
change that you do.
Well, my background, it's a quilt.
Mm.
I'm a quilter. So now I get to do some more sewing. I really
That's
wasn't
great.
able to when I was on the campaign trail, but
Oh
I can
yeah.
get to do a little bit more.
All
Hmm.
right. Well, that's great, and I hope to stay in touch.
Thank you. I hope we stay in touch too. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you.